Have you figured out your niche? Are you helping adding value to other people's lives? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi.
From Chicagoland, welcome to another episode of Munira's Musings. We are back on a Monday with a new guest, a new perspective, and how to find your niche or take your niche to the next level. Our guest today is Teaira Curry. She's calling us all the way from Seattle. She's doing a talk over there. So she's in her car, but she's taken this time to spend with us and share her journey to her niche with us. Welcome to Munira's Musings, Tiara.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this.
You are most welcome. So I know you're visiting Seattle, but where is your home?
Atlanta.
So she's right across the states, that's awesome. So we do these shows because we know that there are people who want to do something. They often wonder about how to take things to the next level. And we do these shows because we hear other people's stories and we take inspiration from them. We showcase a speaker every Monday. And if you are on the sideline wanting to share your story with us, send us a message, number one. Number two, if you're on the sideline thinking, I need to do something better in my life, then take inspiration from all the speakers that come on Munira's Musings, because you never know how and what they say, our guests say, that may trigger your inspiration and your creativity, right? So without further ado, welcome, Tiara. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you again for having me, and thanks to everybody that's tuning in. So basically, on the personal side, I am a mother of many. I am a wife to one. And, I just enjoy doing things with my family and spending time with them because time is precious. We all know that, right? And then on the business side, I am a life coach, an inspirational speaker, a podcast host, and an author. So basically, I have everything that I do is connected to perseverance and my movement. And it all leads to, like Munira said, a story. So it's a blessing to be able to take your story and branch it off into different ways.
You're awesome. How many kids do you have?
I have 7.
Wow. God bless you. It's a blessing. Some people crave for children and some people have many, but you are blessed. Thank you so much for sharing that. So tell me, when you are taking your stories and you have a podcast, what is your podcast about and what is your stories about?
So again, it is about perseverance. It doesn't matter what a person goes through. We all have some incredible stories and journey. You are able to, you still have things to do. There's still things that you have to do. Now, if you allow the story to sort of the journey to paralyze you, then you're never going to get anything done. Did you want me to go into my story now, or was that what you're looking for?
You can share whatever you want. I would love to hear your story.
Okay, excellent. So I've been through a lot of things. In the 80s, I was in foster care from the 80s all the way up until 2004. I went through a lot of things while in foster care, and pretty much the stories that you hear in there happened to me. There were some good things, but there were a lot of bad things. So when I turned 18, I'm thinking to myself that all of, the rape and the abuse, rejection, bullying, I'm thinking that that's all over with. So when I turned 18, I was just so ready to experience the world, to spread my wings and to try things. Well, it started off good because I worked a lot. And I also would travel to California and Birmingham, trying out for American Idol and making the band and all of that to try to get my career going. But then I also played hard. So that's when the drinking started, the heavy drinking, the heavy smoking weed, hanging out with friends. And I just started watching my life go down. So at that time I was in Ohio. I moved back from Ohio to Atlanta, and I meet this guy. He's a he's a Jamaican guy, and we were just moving pretty fast. A lot of women told me that if a man introduces you to his family, that's a good sign. That means that he wants to go forward with you and possibly marry you, because they don't take trash around their family. So I meet this guy, and then one day he takes me to meet his family at the Underground Atlanta at work. And his cousin was like, you're so beautiful. Do you have any sisters or whatnot? I didn't have any his age. So I we had set up a double date, like a small party, and I had brought a friend from work. Now she's a coworker, so we got off of work about 7 a.m. and we go straight to my boyfriend's house. While he went to go and pick up his cousin from the train station, he made me breakfast, and the drink, it tasted a little funny. I asked my friend to taste it, but she was like, yeah, it do taste a little different. But we figured that because they're from Jamaica, that maybe they put spice in their drinks or whatnot. So I ate the food, I drank that, and I wait on them to come back. So remind you, I'm only 18 at this time. He goes and he brings us back beer and weed. So we start having a good time. Me and my coworker, we were just in the corner talking, and the guys were talking, and and all of that. So me and my boyfriend went to another room to become intimate. And while we were becoming intimate, I blacked out. When I gained consciousness, which wasn't very long, but when I did, his same cousin that was there, supposed to be there for my friend, was on top of me, raping me. He had no clothes on or anything. I was able to get up, wrap the covers around me, and I go looking for my boyfriend and my friend so I can tell them what happened and possibly get some help. So they're in another room. She's in the bed. He's sitting in a seat beside the bed. I pull him to the hallway, and we step into the restroom, and I tell him what happened. And when I told him what happened, there was no reaction. It was kind of like, so why are you telling me? So I repeated it in case he didn't hear me. That wasn't the reaction I was waiting for. And then that's when the award show goes on. He's just acting. He's like, that's wrong. I'm getting ready to take him back to the train station, blase, blase. Before he left to take him back, the first thing he told me to do, which now I know is a red flag, was to take a shower and relax. I didn't know that was saying, let's wash off the DNA off your body. But while he left to do that, I started telling my friend what happened, and then I blacked out again. Now, remind you, we started the party at 7 a.m. I didn't regain consciousness until about 1 the next morning. It was after midnight. And I blacked out telling her what happened. So this time when I wake up, my head is in her lap. It was kind of like she was watching over me this time. I go to take her home, and it was the longest, most eerie ride ever. And she tells me, Tiara, you have been set up. That was all she said. So I'm trying to still wrap my head around everything that just happened to me. I go home. I get depressed. I'm in my room. I call off of work. My mother calls me out of nowhere. She's in a whole different state. She says, I could just feel like something is wrong. What's going on? I was very hesitant, but I told her. And I told her that me and the guys agreed, finally, when they would answer the phone, that if we get an AIDS test and it's negative, I would just drop it. My mother was cussing and everything. She said, no, you need to get the police involved, and you need to get a rape kit done. She was right. So I did get the police involved. They were so nice. The detective came, picked me up, took me down to the precinct for questioning, and then he drove me to the hospital, Grady Memorial Hospital. And when I got the rape kit done, everything was a blur. They give you a morning after pill. For those of you who may not know, that's for if you're pregnant, it terminates the pregnancy. They do all these testing. They put lights on you to see any type of DNA on your body. It was a lot. But I found out that I had HPV, which is the human papilloma virus, and I had cancerous cervical cells. I just thought my life was over. I didn't think I'd be able to have kids because there goes my cervix. And I didn't think another man would want to marry me because I have something that I contracted from someone else. So long story short, I had developed a friendship with someone else, and he went with me to the hospital. He was my support system. And right after the diagnosis, he proposed to me in the hospital. And I was just like, didn't you hear what the doctor said? You know, this is cancer. They said it's rapidly turning into cancer. He didn't care. And so we wound up getting married, and he's still my husband today. We've been together for 16 years, married for 12. Nothing's wrong with my cervix because I have 7 children, right? And it was about maybe 2 to 3 years after I got married, no more HPV and no more cervical cells, no more procedures that I have to do or anything. So I definitely, give God all the glory. And that is my story. One of many, but that is when that happened, I realized I had to kind of slow down and I had to really work in my calling. And that just wasn't the end for me. So I take that story and I speak all around the world and inspire people that, hey, it doesn't matter what you go through. Everybody may not have gone through a rape like I have, but it's something that you've been through that's a big deal to you. You can get over this because I have too. But yeah, that's pretty much the basis of my story. And I just hope that it lets someone know that there is light at the end of the tunnel and that you can get through any adversity that comes your way.
It takes one person, right? What you are telling me right now, it takes one person to believe in you. That's awesome, right? And I love the fact that you are empowering women who have had funky things happen to them. It shouldn't be taken lightly, but it's time to move forward, right? I don't know if you know, but I lost my husband about 18 months ago. And we met, our journey together was only 8 years, right? But he was pretty sick over the last 5 years. And I feel like sometimes God just put me there in his life so that I could help him out. I've had my past too, but we got to go forward. We have to leave what we have left behind. Use those lessons to go forward in life, to teach people what not to do, right? If a taste, like in your case, even though people say you're beautiful and everything, you never trust them, number one. You have to believe in yourself, number one. Number two, you had the inkling that the juice or whatever drink they gave you didn't taste funny. So if you have that inkling, don't take it, pour it, right? The third thing is, I watch a lot of SVU. I get 5 channels in my home. I don't use a lot of TV, but on Saturdays, sometimes I spend time watching SVU. It's the only show that has no disturbance, right? But you learn a little few things where you don't have to take a shower and you don't let anybody tell you what to do. The fact that your mother's intuition is so strong, that she came through when you needed it. And sometimes we also don't take a lot of acceptance from that. We say, why is she bothering us? But you never know, because the fact is that your mother's intuition is so strong. And I feel it for my kids. I have 4 kids of my own, but I feel it very strongly. And I can tell when there's something wrong. So you're a mother too, so you can tell that. But all of this together are signs, red flags, as you call them, but as knock on the doors that's creating an awareness for you to take a different type of action, right? And I love the fact that you are out there telling women that there is life after tragedy, because everybody else has gone through a different tragedy. On a mission, and I have 52 weeks, but in the 52 weeks that I have a show on Mondays, right? But every time I meet a person, it never ceases to amaze me that everybody has had to go through something in life to get to the next phase. And sometimes I wonder why we as people have to go through this. But then I came across a book called In a Pit with a Lion on a Snowy Day. In a Pit with a Lion on a Snowy Day. It's by Mark Batterson. Batterson with a B as in boy. You should all read this book. If you don't have the libraries carry it, so you can always borrow it. And I use the audio version. I haven't gone past 4 chapters. And the reason is these 4 chapters have given me so much faith. It allows me to move forward. It's a biblical, he's a man of God. He's a priest. He preaches, the author himself, but he brings in the perspective of the prophets, Jesus Christ, and don't even ask me to give you the names because I don't know. But the fact is, he talks about how his faith has been tested, right? And things that have happened. But I don't find that it's always the faith, because whenever anything happens, our faith is tested. Our faith in the God that we believe in. It could be a prophet, it could be a God, whatever higher power. But we as people, it doesn't matter what color, what religion, what race, or what part of the world, we all have to go through some kind of hurdles to get to where you are. And I love the message that you are sharing. The facts that, you know what, people told you that you couldn't have kids, but look what God has given you. The fact that you had the faith and that foundation that you built for yourself. And the best part of your story is the fact that you had that one person who believed in you. And you've been with him for so long, right? Mm-hmm. I love this message. So when you talk to women, when you do your signature speeches, what is the 2 things that you give advice on?
Well, one of the main things is that, so I realized, I used to tell this story one by one, like if I come across a young lady that I feel like she's like a young Tiara, just wants to party, just wants to have good, clean fun, but, she's not being careful, or she doesn't have friends that watch her, that help to watch her surroundings and her back. So then I just decided to, take it a different step and to write a book about it. And what that message is, the same message that's in my book, Fed Up, Change Up, and Changed Up Now What, is to, first of all, pay attention to the red flags, okay? I'm a firm believer that God always shows us red flags. It is just up to us to pay attention to those red flags. And an example of that is your discernment. You may have a bad feeling about going somewhere. You may have a bad feeling about doing something with someone or being with someone. But because they seem they make it sound so good, so cool, so innocent, so convenient, or because maybe it's something that you've really been looking forward to for a while, and you go against that gut-wrenching feeling like, no, don't do it, to satisfy, to get instant gratification, anything that you do. So it's not limited to just a boyfriend, girlfriend type relationship. So red flags is the number 1 thing. And then, of course, the perseverance is number 2. So after you've gone through this hardship, this tragedy, this spiteful thing, what do you do next? Are you going to just sit there and let it eat you alive until the day that you take your last breath? Or are you going to get yourself together, work healing, and then that could be, so you have those choices. But I'm telling you, looking back in that situation, however, if I didn't go through those things, then I wouldn't have this story to tell today. And I mean, when people come back and say how much they've been inspired and how much that my story has helped them, that's one of the most rewarding things, because I feel like by me telling someone else what happened to me, in particular, as it pertains to, rape and things like that, I'm possibly stopping someone else from this happening. When you have friends, when you guys go out somewhere, I don't care, it could be a club, the movies, a dinner, a party, somebody got to sit back and watch those drinks. Everybody doesn't need to be out on the dance floor or mingling. Or you just drink your drink. I don't care if it's Coca-Cola, it could be a glass of wine, whatever you drink. Somebody needs to be accountable. But as buddies, you guys need to, we have to watch each other's backs. So there's a lot of red flags. And if we can pay attention to those, we would save ourselves from a lot of hardship. So those are the two main things that I like to discuss.
You have a good point there. So let me, I like the fact that you don't sit around and figure out what is the next step. I love that. And then the perseverance, right? Because you have to follow up. You have to stand up and get moving. You can't just sit there and die under a rock. It doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. One thing I'm going to ask you is, how did you, even though you had support system, how did you feel when you said, I have to get over it? I mean, how long did it take for you to say, I need to get over this?
It took years. I was avoiding the... So, in Christianity, we have a book in the Bible called Jonah. It talks about Jonah, right? So I nicknamed myself Jonisha because I ran away. I knew that I was supposed to do something. I knew I was supposed to speak. I knew I was supposed to write a book, but I wasn't ready. For some reason, I just was not ready, because when that situation took place, it kind of triggered all the way back to my childhood. And it made me realize that I never really properly healed. I never dealt with those things properly. I just kind of stored it into the back of my mind. So not only am I dealing with all the stuff from a childhood, like I mentioned, the bullying, the rape, the abuse, the neglect, the rejection. Now I'm faced with it again. So then I became humiliated, because everybody has always seen Teaira Curry as the go-to person. Since I was a child, even adults would tell me some very serious things. And, God would speak to me and have me to give them comforting words. I didn't even know what I was saying, but it was along the lines of everything is going to be all right, in which it did turn out okay. But I'm telling you, Munira, I was not ready for the longest. So that happened back around 2005-ish, maybe late 2004, 2005. I didn't start buckling down and say, I'm going to do this until around 2016. So once I decided that, hey, I've got to do something. I cannot allow another person to get set up. I can't allow another person to get old and die, to feel like, well, your dreams are over with. You're at this age. You're at that age. You can't do this no more. I had to do something. So what I did with that was I said, I'm going to use what I have. So I would just come on Facebook every week, twice a week. And I would have a title, like a topic, and then I would just go off of that. And then once I wrote the book, every week I would come on, that would be the title of the show that day. And I would tell them about a little bit about the relationship or the experience. And I would, provide some type of revelation for the people. But that just, it doesn't take a lot to get started. It doesn't take a lot to actually do something. But once you're consistent, you put some thought to it, there's so many people that would be inspired. But it took a long time. I'm kind of embarrassed to even say that. It took a long, years. Yeah.
I love the fact that you are so vulnerable about it, the fact that you are so open about it, and you're sharing that the healing didn't happen right away. It took a little bit of time, and it does take a little time, because the first thing about healing yourself is taking, the way I see it is, first you find the gratitude in what has happened. And then you find the fact that you have to forgive yourself, because most of the time, we are women, all of us do that. We take the guilt and we own it, and we don't forgive ourselves, even though if it's not our fault, we say, what if I hadn't done this, or what if I had done this way? Yeah, we take that guilt. But the fact is that you have to take and start healing straight away. Easier said than done. I know it's not easy, but you may need professional help, somebody, a therapist or a counselor that can help you through this process. But the first step that needs to be taken is the fact that, hey, I'm going to overcome this. How will come later. You just have to figure out that you're going to do that first. And so, Tiara, thank you so much for being here. Tell us how people can find you.
Thank you. What you can do is you can check out my website at www.cu-nw.com. That stands for Changed Up Now What. So everything is on my website. Also social media, Teaira Curry, everything on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it. So that's how you can reach out. And I'm pretty sure Munira will link everything below. But if you have any questions, or if you see something that you like, you think I can assist you with, and maybe if you have a story that you would like to speak on, I have a podcast show too, because like we said before, everybody's story is not the same. So I may not resonate with, my story may not resonate with a person's like your story would. So together, we can reach the masses, and in return, we can help so many more people when we put these stories and testimonies together.
You have a point there. So, ladies and gentlemen, Teaira Curry, you all have a story. Sometimes we've got to walk through a tunnel, a dark tunnel, feel scared, come out the other way and say, hey, you know what? I can be that light at the end of somebody else's tunnel. And so, because your story is something somebody wants to hear. Ladies.
Correct.
Go ahead.
Correct. And I would just like to say this too before I go. Munira is absolutely right. I think she has a wonderful platform. She has these incredible guests come on and give and kind of tell and shed light of what they do. And it's really all about helping. If you need a coach, if you need a therapist, if you need a doctor, a pastor, whatever it is, you need something. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. You need somebody that you can let your guard down with, be vulnerable with, and share these things. Somebody that you can trust. But also, if you don't have access to that, like doctors and therapists or whatnot, watch Munira's show. Come back and watch some of the other stuff she did, and wait for the new Mondays to come up, because she has some great people on, including therapists that come on her show. So watch that. I have a show too, Inspiration. I mean, you can find it just about anywhere, but make sure that you have an outlet. I love these type of shows. I love shows like Munira's because it is about positivity and inspiration. You watching, there's somebody, you have went through something, you need help. So make sure you have an outlet, and make sure that you keep your mind on positive outlets like this. Stay away from the negativity and the drama. Find some stuff that's really going to put you into a happy place, and that's going to help you heal. That's all.
The bottom line is to overcome, right? And we all have a story. We all have some kind of something that we've had to, think of a hurdle, any race. The Olympics just ended, but the track and field is my favorite. And, there's always these hurdle races that people have to go over, but life is a hurdle. We all have to go through something. It may be something small, it may be something harder, but whatever it is, just take that first step to overcome it. Because you know what? However you overcame it, there's somebody else who wants to listen to your story and share that story, because you have no right to keep this with yourself. Your responsibility is to share it so you can help other people. And I know as people, we all want to help somebody else. This is a good way to help it. Until we meet again, like, share, and subscribe. We'll come back next Monday with another guest, another inspiration, and another person who's going to showcase their niche and how their journey, and it's going to take you to a different level. You never know what you're going to listen and how that one word is going to change your life. Until then, have a wonderful week. See you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi. If you enjoyed our show, please share and subscribe to this channel. And for more content, please join our Facebook group.